ప్రధాన న్యూస్ ఛానల్స్ లో ప్రసారమవుతున్న బ్రేకింగ్ న్యూస్ బిజినెస్ న్యూస్ గా మారాయని జర్నలిస్టులు బిజినెస్ ట్రేడర్స్ గా మారారని సీనియర్ జర్నలిస్ట్ ఇండియా టుడే గ్రూప్ కన్సల్టింగ్ ఎడిటర్ రాజ్దీప్ సర్దేసాయ్ అన్నారు. బేగంపేటలోని హైదరాబాద్ పబ్లిక్ స్కూల్లో లిటరరీ ఫెస్టివల్ ముగింపు కార్యక్రమంలో ఆయన పాల్గొన్నారు. మీడియా ఇన్ ది ఏజ్ ఆఫ్ బ్రేకింగ్ న్యూస్ అన్న అంశంపై జరిగిన సదస్సులో రాజ్దీప్ సర్దేసాయ్ ప్రసంగించారు. సోషల్ మీడియాలో స్వేచ్ఛ అపరిమితమని కానీ బాధ్యత శూన్యంగా మారిందని ఆవేదన వ్యక్తం చేశారు. ప్రజాస్వామ్య పరిరక్షించేందుకు స్వేచ్ఛా గొంతుగా వినిపించేందుకు బెటర్ మీడియా అవసరమని అభిప్రాయపడ్డ రాజ్దీప్ సర్దేసాయ్తో మా ప్రతినిధి సునీత ఫేస్ టు ఫేస్.
Welcome to Hyderabad, Rajdeep. You must have been to several literary fests. So how would you rate our Hyderabad? I know you've been here only for an hour or so, but you must have seen a little bit of it and got the flavor.
What I like about it is the enthusiasm of the citizens. You know, many festivals are about in a way not about citizens as much as this as it should be. So I'm glad to see citizen participation, which I think makes this festival very inclusive, particularly for the authors. You know, meet the author, a lot of young people. That makes it a festival that I think is a festival with a difference. So good for Hyderabad.
When you spoke about the trolls and the abuse online and all that, and I have seen the way you, or for that matter even Sagarika, have been trolled mercilessly, abused online, and you carry on very courageously. I must say this. How do you feel? I mean, I know you're being very bold outside, but how do you feel inside? Is there some kind of a feeling of threat or insecurity that you feel at times?
Ma'am, I think firstly let me say courage is something which is often is often overvalued, in the sense the courage of a journalist. The real courage is, let's say, of a fisherwoman who has to wake up at 5 in the morning, make the meals for her family, send her children to school, go to the fish market, come home in the evening, again cook for the family. To my mind, the courage in the face of adversity of millions of Indians is much more than what a journalist has to face.
That's very nice of you.
You know, trolls are, ma'am, trolls cannot be the basis of deciding someone's courage. Courage, to my mind, is the courage of millions of Indians who face adversity and yet triumph. And there are such fantastic stories of people who have overcome personal challenges, disabilities. I met this blind boy the other day who scored a century in the World Blind Final. To my mind, he is far more courageous than I will ever be. He has overcome his disability to become a world champion in cricket. So
you are talking about Pakistan media also, and saying that they are even more courageous because they face bullets. I wanted to actually stand up and tell you that even Indians are facing bullets. So there's also a physical threat.
No, I know what happened with Gauri Lankesh, and that's terribly tragic, and there have been other instances. But by and large, the Pakistani media has to deal with the jihadis, on the other side. We have to still, our politicians are not the kind who will put a gun on my head. They will unleash their troll army on me if I say something, but they won't put a gun on my head. To that extent, I would say that we are a society which is relatively better off.
Davos or Davos, I don't know how it's pronounced, but so what do you think? You say you talked about it being the flavor of the season now, all politicians milling around that place. Do you expect anything to come out of it?
Look, at the end of the day, India is going to have to handle its own challenges. People will come to India if they feel that their investments will give them more value. They are not going to come simply because the Prime Minister speaks well in Davos. At the end of the day, that's important. You are a salesman, you have to market your story. But at the end of the day, the businessman has to see value in coming to India. Okay. So India has to serve its own interests. India can't expect the world will come to India simply because our Prime Minister speaks well in Davos.
So such flamboyant personalities and such celebrities, what is the dinner table talk like at home with your kids?
No, where, ma'am? The kids have gone. My son is studying medicine. He's been away for the last 5. He just finished his exams this week. Okay. So he becomes a doctor now. He'll do internship. So he's on his own field. Our daughter is in law school outside. Okay. So they're both away. So we have an empty house. I come home at 10:30. By then everybody has had dinner at home. So there's no dinner table left anymore to have dinner conversations. But yeah, when we meet, we do talk about issues. But We also talk about, you know, food and travel and sport.
Like
and
any other normal couple.
yeah. We're very clear that, and our kids have been very clear that they want to do everything else but journalism.
Oh, I was going to ask you that. So your father being a famous cricketer, you didn't become one. So now you're such a famous journalist. Would I?
No, I don't want my kids. I don't want my kids to be journalists. That was very clear. And I wanted to be a cricketer, but cricket requires talent. As I say in my book, that, you know, cricket is merit driven. You can't become a cricketer just because your father was one. You can become a politician if your father was one. You can become
That's a good one.
You can become a businessman if your father was one. You can become a film actor like Abhishek Bachchan because your father is one.
That requires talent too, I suppose.
Well, it requires talent, but some element of nepotism can work in cinema. At least your father can give you the first role or a contact. Cricket doesn't work through contacts. As my father would say, I can't go on the field and make runs for you. You are going to have to make runs, and you will only be picked if you make runs. And that is your talent, not something that comes through lineage.
Okay, this is wonderful talking to you, Rajdeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.